Hello and thanks for tuning in. Back here again with my follow-up thoughts on this box set as well as the Now and Then single release from the Beatles. Did the unboxing video and gave it a quick listen and gave my initial thoughts. And having a little over a week to continue listening to these recordings, both the red and the blue and Now and Then, I think that I've come to a little bit more of a refined opinion of these recordings. And what I mean by that specifically is I've had some time to compare and contrast with older recordings, both off of the original LPs as well as some of the recordings off of other compilations like Past Masters and even the older versions of the blue and the red. So what do I think overall? I think that the red album is leaps and bounds. I'm going to say better, but I know most of you would probably agree that if nothing else, it's different. They did a really good job on the red album. The blue album is still a good collection of songs. The fact that Giles used the recordings from the recent anniversary editions of the White Album and Let It Be and Revolver and Abbey Road, while great mixes, didn't add a whole lot to the blue album, aside from most of the tracks from Magical Mystery Tour and the inclusion of Now and Then, which I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But specifically, I think the easiest spot to start would be with the blue album, because there's really less to talk about. But I think I'm going to probably focus on two aspects specifically when talking about the blue album. Number one is the elephant in the room, and it's the thing that a lot of fans have been divided on, and that is the remix of I Am the Walrus. One of my favorite tracks, either early or late Beatles. It's just a fantastic song. And where the kind of, I'll say, controversy kind of comes in is with really the last minute or so of the song, where you have the King Lear part with all the feedback and the noise and the craziness that goes on with the end of that song. It sounds like Giles kind of took some artistic liberties and changed the end a little bit. I don't think that it's atrocious. It is definitely different. And if your ears are used to hearing the older version, this new mix will throw you for a loop. Other things I did notice about the track specifically is that there were some, there was one point in the song, I can't remember the exact time stamp or even which lyric it was, but there was almost like a panting, almost like a running, breathy sound that goes from, I want to say it was from left to right. I say it's like the line about see how they run like pigs from a gun, or see how they fly like Lucy in the sky, see how they run. It sounds like, John, it sounds like is running and kind of panting. I had never noticed that in the old versions of the song. It's very obvious with this particular mix. And with that being said, when I said like left to right, I have to note that these are all stereo mixes. And I think the most definitive way to listen to any of these, Walrus or any of the other songs, is through headphones. If you're listening to these on a home stereo system, especially if your speakers are closer together, you're not going to notice these intricacies the way you would through headphones. And that's how I did my comparisons, was through headphones. Just disclosing that here. Walrus, though, getting back to that, it's a good mix. I don't think it's quite as bright. There's something about John's vocals, the mix there, it almost seems too dry. The original recording almost had kind of it's hard to even come up with a word, almost like a wet sound. And if you listen to the two side by side, you may notice what I'm talking about. A little bit brighter on the vocals, a little bit more up front, and a little bit to where you hear every little noise coming from John. So it was kind of it's a different experience there. Is it a bad mix? I'm gonna say it's not a bad mix. It's kind of hard to make any Beatles song a bad mix, but it's definitely different. I have to say I prefer the old mix better, so I will probably go back to like my 2014 analog version of the Blue Album for that song, or even my Portsu pressing of Magical Mystery Tour, both of which I think are better mixes than what's on here for Walrus. As far as the rest of the stuff off Magical Mystery Tour, it sounds really good, and it makes me look forward to eventually maybe getting a reissue of Magical Mystery Tour, maybe along with like a Blu-ray or some kind of extras in it. Because again, like I said with my initial thoughts, I feel like this box set just didn't have the extras that the other Beatles box sets have had, and that was kind of a big letdown right off the bat. And I still feel that way. I feel like this needed a book. I really feel like this could have used a book. But that being said, if we're talking about the quality of the Blue Album, I think overall it's good. There's not too much to talk about, like I said, because a lot of those mixes are on the old box sets. So take that for what you will. I feel like mine side 3, the side that has let's say it starts off with Back in the USSR. I know for a fact it's the one that has Ballad of John and Yoko and Old Brown Shoe, because both of those are so washed in bass, they're almost unlistenable. And I don't know if it's just the cutting or if that's the way the mix is supposed to sound, but the bass is so prominent in those two songs that it almost sounds like it's like blown out. And I didn't like those mixes at all. So I definitely, for those two songs and probably most of the stuff off of side 3, I'll probably go back to older pressings for those as well. But that being said, beautiful to look at. The blue color is awesome. I do not like the fact, and this goes for the blue and the red both, so this is a good segue to get back to red. The track listing, because they added new tracks to this, but they did not do it in chronological order like they did on the CD. It doesn't make sense to me. It seems like a missed opportunity that they were just, I don't know if they were rushed. I don't feel like this is rushed, especially with the Blue Album. You already had all the recordings, or at least most of them. Why didn't they just do the same thing they did with the CD and put them in chronological order? Yeah. So maybe a minor issue there, but it's still an issue. It kind of makes listening to it cover to cover seem odd when you get all the way up to the Long and Winding Road, and then you put it on side 5 and there's Now and Then. It just doesn't make sense. And they did the same thing on the Red Album, so we'll talk about that one now. Putting those new additions on the third disc, and rather than just putting them all in order, it seems kind of disjointed, and it makes them seem like an afterthought, which I don't think they were. I think all this was done at the same time. Why they felt like there was a need to keep the first 2 LPs in the red and the 2 LPs in the blue the same as the original, and then throw the extras on it. I don't know. Some kind of weird marketing choice, but it was definitely weird. I don't like it. But that being said, I think the Red Album, that's the one where when you listen to these mixes back to back, like for instance, I think one of the ones that really stood out to me, Please Please Me, From Me to You, I Want to Hold Your Hand. These, if you know those old mixes, Paul would be in one side and the rest of the band's over in the other side, or all the instruments are over here and all the vocals, harmonies included, are over here. It's really odd, especially on headphones, to listen to those old recordings because they sound so separated. They're very separated. These mixes bring it all to the middle and gives you a good, it's a more modern sounding mix. The way they have the drums, the bass, the vocals are centered. or the lead vocals are centered and the harmonies kind of barely push to the left or the right or both. It's very even, which I like. And some songs benefit from it greater than others. The ones I just mentioned, I think Hard Day's Night, it got brightened somehow and it sounds really good. 8 Days a Week, I had to listen to that one back to back a couple times. I think that the mix on here of 8 Days a Week is definitely brighter, but still I don't think you can go wrong with either one. There wasn't too much of a difference, but it was definitely brighter. Yesterday sounds amazing. Paul's right dead in the middle, and then they separate the strings, some on the left, some on the right, and it just sounds really good. Help sounded good. Hide Your Love Away was definitely a nice one. We Can Work It Out sounded very even, balanced. Day Tripper, same way. That was one that was a hard pan left and right, so it's nice to have that very evened up. Norwegian Wood actually has a section in the, I'm gonna call it the chorus. It's kind of a chorus. It's almost kind of like a middle eight that they do twice. There's almost like this percussion kind of sound, almost like I don't know if it's like slapping the body of a guitar or it's like a kind of a muted bongo. I never even knew it was there. And then in this mix, you hear it. It's right there. Norwegian Wood is definitely a good one on here. Nowhere Man, the vocals at the beginning are amazing. Probably the cleanest I've ever heard them. I do not have the Yellow Submarine song track. I'm hoping to get that one soon at some point. I've heard that recording of Nowhere Man is really good. I don't know how it can beat this one on here. You know, and you have Paperback Writer, Eleanor Rigby, Yellow Submarine. Those were all on the Revolver box set. Still good, but no real big change there. I Saw Her Standing There, Twist and Shout. I've listened to both of those back to back, old recordings and this one. These, I know people have said like, oh, I Saw Her Standing There is good, but Twist and Shout, I'm gonna say both of those are phenomenal. The way that you go from that hard left and right to centered and balanced, it just sounds really good. This boy, I think I said in my initial thoughts, I really like that mix, and I haven't changed my mind there. That's a really good sounding mix. You Can't Do That. I listened to that one as well. The one thing I'll say that almost made that one perfect, but it loses points for me, is the cowbell is not as prevalent. And we all love some cowbell. So in this new mix on the new box set, you can't do that. Notice the cowbell as opposed to the original mix off of Hard Day's Night. Definitely not as prominent, so I'm gonna docket some points there. If I needed someone, great George song, and it really does wonders on this this new mix. The old mix was hard separated. This one brought all back together and sounds really good. I have to say, all of the Rubber Soul recordings that they remixed on this box set, if we are indeed going to get a Rubber Soul box soon, it's going to be really good. Stuff like, you know, Nowhere Man and Drive My Car, I mentioned Norwegian Wood, they sound really good. Cannot wait for that box set to come out. But that kind of brings me to my next point, and that is talking about Now and Then. So the single exists as a single. It also exists as a song on the Blue album. Now, why is it on the Blue album? And you'll have some people that say, it doesn't matter to me that it wasn't done in those years. It's good to have it on the compilation. And I think if it's going to be on a compilation, it needs to be on that compilation. That's why I have the anthology up here. And I feel like next year, if we get Rubber Soul, great, awesome. I think that it's overdue and we need that one. We've got to get that one into our lives. However, Now and Then, it does not belong in this compilation. Anthology 1, Freeze a Bird. Anthology 2, Real Love. And then this song, I believe, was supposed to be on Anthology 3, but they couldn't get the mix right. I think 2025 will be the 30-year anniversary of this collection. And not just for this song, everything on this, because they're demos, they're outtakes, they're alternate versions, there's some unreleased songs on there. Those tracks need this new machine-assisted learning treatment. Go in and break it down and remix it, make it sound fresh and new. Anthology needs that. And if you do that, Freeze a Bird, Real Love, which if nothing else, at least do those two, because they really do need it. And then add Now and Then to Anthology 3. Would they do that now? Because now you'll have it as a single, you'll have it on the red and blue, specifically the blue, and you'll have it on Anthology 3. I mean, they could beat that dead horse, yes, but I don't know. I feel like they, doing Now and Then as a single, great. Putting it on this, no. Keep it as a single and then release it on Anthology 3 when you remix that. Because I really think they need to. It needs it. The whole anthology series. And then you could re-release the anthology on Blu-ray. Because I mean, I have it on DVD, but I think that unless you get Laserdisc, I think that's DVD's about as good as you're going to get as of right now. So unless you find like a bootleg version of it on Blu-ray. So I think you know we really push for Rubber Soul next year, and then in 2025 we hope and pray for that anthology to hit as well with that new remix treatment, because it would sound really good. And boy, could they package the hell out of that thing. I mean, it's already 9 LPs. You could do like a full-on, even if you just kept it at the 9, but if you have some other stuff you could throw in there and make it like a 12 LP, it would be awesome. It's a huge box set. And that's $ for Apple, so you know that they're going to be all over it. But I think getting away from hopeful future releases, talking about specifically Red and Blue and Now and Then, I think that this one, the Red album, it's easy for me. The Red album is probably a 9. I mean, it's really, really good, and it really blows those old mixes out of the water for me. Blue album, yeah, it's probably, I would say, because of the issues that maybe it's just my copy, but the issues that I have on side 3, as well as the fact that there's nothing extremely new, and the fact that they shoehorned a brand new song in on an album that doesn't really need it, or it doesn't really fit on there anyway. I think the Blue album, this particular pressing of it, is probably about a 6. Which if you average the 2 out, 6, 7, 7, it's about a 7.5, which I think I said that this was probably about a 7.5 to 8. So I think this is probably easily a 7.5. It's not a swing and a miss, but it's not a home run like I think Revolver and Let It Be were. Both of those being great box sets. So I think this is solid. It's good. Is it great? If you're a collector, yeah, it's great. Anything that has this name on it is going to be great. But could they have done better? I think so. Maybe release Rubber Soul this year and do this one maybe next year. I don't think that they're not staying so rigid with, it's the even numbered anniversaries. Revolver didn't come out on an even numbered anniversary that I'm aware of. So you don't have to stick to the 30, the 60, the 50, the 55, the 60. Just release it whenever you get it done. If Rubber Soul's done, which I think it is, then give it to us next year. Fine with that. If you want to have a grand anniversary, like an even number, do the anthology in 2025. I mean, that to me is the easy bet. because we're at right now, if we're trying to do anniversary releases, you've got, is it Beatles for Sale and Hard Day's Night. 2024 would be an even number. Help would be an even number in 2025, as well as Anthology. So just get away from the even number anniversaries and just release it when you get it done. Because I think that hearing what was on the Hard Day's Night tracks that are on here, I would love to hear that one. Get the remix treatment as a full album with maybe some extras as well. Give the fans what they want, give us the extras, give us the books, give us the outtakes, give us the mono. That was a great thing about the Revolver set. You get the stereo and the mono. So keep that kind of stuff in mind, because that's what the fans want. Because that mono box set, boy, that's a tough one. So to get those individually is still great. At least we have it. So, but those are kind of my thoughts on Red and Blue and Now and Then. Why I think that doesn't belong on here, and why I think that you lose a little here, but you gain a whole lot over here. So if you haven't gotten it yet, and you're wanting to get into the Beatles, this is a great gateway. If you already have tons of Red and Blue albums, maybe you pass on this. Maybe you just want to be a completionist and have everything that the Beatles have ever released in every variant possible. If so, you probably already have this, but if not, yep, you can pick it up. Colored version here, but there's also a black vinyl version as well. And there's like 10 different versions of Now and Then. So I only have the one, so I'm happy with that one. I'm happy with the colored vinyl and the box set. So you do what you want. Take my opinion for what it is, because it's just one guy's opinion. But I'm glad that you stopped in to hear it. I'll have more videos in the future. I've got some new stuff coming in that I'd love to sit down and spin and give you my opinion on. I think maybe the next one I do might be that Rolling Stones, since we're on kind of a British invasion kick. Maybe I'll do Hackney Diamonds next. But I appreciate you stopping in. I'm not going to beg you to like and subscribe. You know how to do it. So if you're going to do it, do it. If not, that's cool. If you want to comment, awesome. But either way, I'll see you around. Keep them spinning.